Welcome back to Dash for Adventure. One of us is in trouble. We've got a report to this building up here. Stick around and see what's going on today as we live our adventure one day at a time. It's the end of the line. Could you imagine riding in a bus like this with a little window? You would know it's over. And I think that guy knows it's over. Yeah, he knows it's over. Wow, look at this. I just did 9 months on the inside. Now my parents are serving life. Yep. Yeah, he's cool. I feel like we should be listening to some blues. Struggle bus.
Must be good. That stuff's gone.
You ever been on the struggle bus?
I have.
End of the line, honey.
That's honey. Moonshine.
All right.
$20,
25.
25 for the big bottle.
Get the third half off.
Tastes good. Is it like Arkansas?
Tickle your nose.
It's 80 proof.
It's gonna tickle your nose. That's good.
I got my big girl pants on apparently.
Right, so apple pie, blackberry, butterscotch, which caused me to sneeze, cinnamon, frosted orange, honey, peach cobbler, and scared straight.
Hi.
So here's some honey. Honey.
Oh, I do. I got a head.
I'm trying this because we may buy some to share with Vita.
The clear one I'm going to say.
That's peach?
This one.
Okay, so do peach last.
Do you want a receipt?
This is cinnamon. No, thanks, hon.
All right. That's our visit to Brushy Mountain Distillery. I now have hair growing on my chest. All right, we got our tickets. All right, we got our tickets. Now we got to drive up the mountain a little further.
Holy.
There's where they make the hooch. Could you imagine being in that old rusty bus coming up this hill to pay your time for the deeds you did? This would not be a place I'd want to spend a while at.
It's called the end of the line for a reason.
It's the end of the line. Oh, admit one. Wait a minute. When you go to prison, they give you an admission ticket?
Looks like it.
Many came here to serve their damnation, and a few found their salvation. Here at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. I bet you the residents didn't come through the front door.
Oh, no.
They probably went through that wall over there.
Spooky bus that was down there. Carried them right on through the gate.
Yeah. Been dangerous since 1896. Warning, enter at your own risk. There are snakes, ghosts, and you may find yourself running from them.
Oh, that'd be me.
Yeah, that'd be you.
No, maybe not from the ghosts, but definitely the snakes.
Okay, let's go. It's a little scary. I've never really wanted to be in the state pen, have you?
Nope.
Nope. So I wonder if somebody was trying to get out or get in. So over the 113 years it was active, these served as offices. Could you imagine that being your office door? It's almost like being
Can you?
sentenced here as one of the prisoners. We're going through the doors. Ooh, look, there's water leaking. Trap gates. So imagine those gates behind you closing.
No.
Ooh.
Never.
This is where you would go for the shakedown, and then you'd go through one more set of gates. And this is the prison.
Wow.
To keep count, they would have prisoners that were waiting to be transferred to court would sit in this cell. I guess you would call that like purgatory.
No, that was a small holding cell installed to temporarily contain women prisoners who were either en route to the courthouse for appearance or elsewhere in Tennessee,
Wow.
or being transferred to the women's prison.
Look at that thick window. And then here it is. Now we're inside the prison.
Hi, kitty.
Look at the commissary person. Meow.
Hi. Hi. Yeah.
I guess if you were a bad prisoner, you were tied up out here to the whipping post. Ooh. So in 1896, this gymnasium was actually the original prison. It was just this building, and then it expanded. So let's go in the original prison buildings that became the gymnasium. Wow. Hey. Sports and takedowns. Boxing matches where inmates squared off inside a ring to the cheers and jeers of peers betting on the bout. But this is also the place of the first prison. Wow. Then they built a bigger prison. There's where they'd bring them in. And then over here's the church. If you're ever going to find a time in your life to find redemption, it will absolutely be when you're in prison. Oh. Well, there's your prison cells. There's cell 28. Look at cell 28. You've got the bed, a bunk bed, and then let's go inside. There's a desk, a cabinet, more cabinets, a mirror and a sink, and a toilet. And that would be cell 28. I mean, that's really about 8 foot, maybe.
Wow.
And don't worry, there's multiple levels.
4.
4 levels of prison cell blocks here. The prison floors are wet. I can't imagine it was much better back in the 1900s when people served time here. There's the shower. Wow. And here's the barber. Inmates gave each other haircuts. And if you didn't know how to cut hair when you got here, you either knew how to cut hair when you left, or you left bald. This is also where you'd get your mail. It was your view to the outside world. This is known as the street, the walk along the upper floors of the prison. There's the barber chair. This is where the visitation gallery was. Family and friends would go through here. Family visitation was also a room that they used to educate cellmates that didn't know how to read. Yep, I'm standing in an inch of water. This would have been one of the guard stations. And in 1972, the prison guards went on strike because of unsafe working conditions. And the prison stayed closed until 1976 when it reopened. The same men serving life sentences for killing humans turned out to be animal lovers too. The strong attachments they made with the surrounding wildlife over the years were memorialized in wall paintings created by a few prisoners, doubling as undercover artists. This was the cafeteria for chow time. I can't imagine, even with this place being cleaned up and freshly painted, that it would have been much better than it is now. Here's the serving line. They'd hand you your food through this protected line. I'm sure the cooks here didn't want to be stabbed or shanked, so they were protected too. Prisoners actually painted these walls. Wow. This is gorgeous compared to those cells. I wouldn't want to be in here for anything, but I definitely enjoy my time in the yard. Stormwater mitigation. Scary. Wow. Stuck in solitary. And D block meant solitary confinement. Ooh. I can't even imagine what that must have been like. Prison bars everywhere. Life and maximum security. Wow. D block, maximum security. More restrictions than inmates living on death row. These cells are scary.
This was a level 5 prison.
I'm glad I don't know what levels mean in
Level
prisons.
5 was, they had the worst inmates in the state.
Wow. Glad I don't understand all this. This was the most recent addition to Brushy Mountain State Pen, and that is maximum security back there. They don't allow us to tour that. So there used to be a catwalk that went from those doors all the way over to right there. And that's the most recent maximum security here on the property, and that's where they kept the worst of the worst. And right there's where Johnny Cash played. No, Johnny Cash didn't play there. But that is a concert stage. And they now hold concerts here from time to time. And this is the back side of the gymnasium. Hey. And if you come out the gymnasium, it brings you out here to the yard. The best of the prisoners that deserved yard time got to come out here.
So, the infamous escape that happened here, you see the wall where the ice machine is in the far back corner?
Yep, see it right over there.
That's where James Earl Ray and them made their escape up into the mountain. The fight started over here near the stage, and they escaped over there.
So while we promote adventure in every which way you can imagine, we don't promote adventure that might land you in a place like this because, well, that would be the end of your adventures. But we've enjoyed our adventure here today. That is an amazing place. I'm so glad. I know nothing of the prison systems now or from the past. The laundry room. This would be the job you would want. Break the monotony. Work in the laundry room. The museum, theater, and the hole are in here. A couple of those sound interesting. One of them sounds scary.
You going to see the hole?
Let's go to the hole. This way. So there's 4 of these down here. They carved how many days they were in here. That's spooky. You got your oxygen. Some holes in the doors.
Some people spent so much time in the hole that they would go blind.
Whew. Let's go back upstairs to the museum and the theater. Inmate boots. Letters from the prison. Handmade bronze sculpture of Brushy Mountain Prison. They said they built it in the shape of a cross so that everyone would know this is it. Oh, right. That's what they use for the whipping post. 4-foot leather strap. Here's some books about stays here, and people that work here, and some history, even about the Cold Creek War that happened here. Correctional Department outfits. Badges used here over the years. And there's the officer's book. It's like a Facebook before there was Facebook. And actually, I've used this device before. You can climb up a telephone pole, connect the proper wires, and you've got yourself a landline phone.
Checkerboard. There's pictures and stories.
It seems like everything starts with a war, doesn't it? So it goes. The defeat of the Confederacy left the South broken and humiliated. The rebuilding effort required energy, and that energy lived in the thick black veins of coal sunk deep in the Cumberland Plateau and the Appalachians. Mining companies scoured these Tennessee mountains, digging into the hollows, removing tons of coal as fast as possible for a South that was desperate to rebuild and an America that was hungry to grow. Mining, citizen miners unable to compete with cheap convict labor, protested across the state until violence erupted at the Cold Creek Mine, a dozen miles from here. The fighting and bloodshed lasted from 1891 to 1892 and was known as the Cold Creek War. State convict labor leases expired and never renewed. I mean, you can't compete with prisoners that are getting paid $63 a year. Look at the artwork that was done by inmates here. There's a shoe shine chair. James Earl Ray made this ladder in the laundry room and used it to escape in 1977. Of course, he was caught shortly after. That's amazing. That's how they would cut the shanks out. So it closed in 2009.
Guess what I'm on? Disney Plus.
This prison operated from 1896 to 2009. Many of the stories and things that happen here, you can't discuss because of YouTube policy. But if you want to find out the history, we'll leave a link below in the description and you can read the gory details of some of the most amazing things that happened here. Turns out the most infamous prisoner here was James Earl Ray, who was the man that shot Martin Luther King. He escaped in June of 1977. And for some 50-odd hours, he was out. But they captured him and brought him back. We're lucky. We get to go out the door we came in. Very lucky. So we don't have to worry about these doors clanging and slamming before us.
Oh no, thank goodness.
And we get to walk out the trap gates. On for another adventure, another day. All right, we got out of there. Lucky for us, they don't know the bad things we've done. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today on our little trip to Brushy Mountain State Pen. Thankfully, you guys and us as well don't have to spend any time here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. We'll see you in the comments. Stay clean. Stay out of trouble so you can continue to adventure.